"Sir, you need to leave. Now." The words didn't come with an explanation. They didn't need one. Two uniformed guards flanked the broad-shouldered black man, seated quietly near the front row, his crisp marine dress uniform catching the light of the morning sun. His jaw tightened. His hands stayed on his lap. He didn't move. His son stood just a few feet away, in full Navy uniform, moments from receiving his stripes. A proud day, a long road. But the air shifted. The proud hum of the graduation ceremony had turned to a quiet confusion. Why was a decorated Marine being asked to leave his own son's graduation? Then from the back row, four men rose without a word. They weren't just guests. They were Navy SEALs, trained warriors, and in their silence they said everything. No one, not even the guards, was ready for what came next. Sergeant Marcus Carter wasn't just a Marine. He was the definition of duty. 20 years of service, 2 tours in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan, a dozen commendations. He'd lost friends. He'd lost parts of himself. But on this day, standing in that ceremony hall, he wasn't Sergeant Carter. He was just a father, a proud father. He'd arrived early, sitting alone. His back was straight, uniform spotless. His hands rested gently on his knees. He watched the cadets walk by. He smiled when he saw his son, Jason, tall, proud, and ready. But the air had a different feel to it. Marcus was used to the stares, the slight edge in the way some people shifted when he passed. A black man in full Marine dress still made some folks uncomfortable. He'd gotten used to swallowing that discomfort. Jason had worked hard, long nights, endless drills. Marcus had seen the bruises, the fatigue, and the fire in his boy's eyes. He knew what it meant to him. The graduation was held at a Navy base, a place of discipline and order. But that morning it was filled with family, joy, the sound of cameras clicking, and parents whispering with pride. Marcus sat quietly, unnoticed, until he wasn't. When the guards walked up to him, people stopped whispering. The music faltered. It was as if someone had pressed pause on the entire room. That's when everything changed. "Excuse me, sir. We're going to need you to step outside." No greeting, no explanation, just cold authority. Marcus looked up slowly. His eyes scanned the guard on the left, then the right. Young, unseasoned, maybe fresh out of basic. His voice was calm, steady, the kind of calm you learn from war zones. "Why?" he asked. The guards shifted uncomfortably. "Just following orders," one said. Marcus didn't raise his voice. He didn't get out of his seat, but there was a weight in his words. "I'm here for my son's graduation. I'm not going anywhere." One of the guards reached toward him, not aggressively, but assertively. Marcus's head didn't move. Only his voice changed. It dropped lower, colder. "Touch me, and you'll regret it." That was it. That one line froze the air around them. A few people gasped. A couple of phones tilted upward, recording. Jason had turned now, noticing the commotion. His eyes locked with his father's. Confusion, fear, then anger. The crowd murmured louder now, people trying to make sense of it. A black Marine, uniformed, alone, being asked to leave without cause. Then in that crackling tension, someone moved. 4 men in the last row stood up, slow and deliberate. They didn't shout. They didn't rush forward. They just stood, tall, broad, still. The kind of still that made people nervous. The guards glanced back. Recognition flashed across their faces. Navy SEALs. These weren't just any men. These were warriors, combat-seasoned, quiet professionals. The first SEAL spoke, calm, sharp, final. "You might want to step back." And for the first time, the guards hesitated. The lead SEAL took one step forward. "Sergeant Carter has more combat hours than anyone in this building." His voice was low but carried authority. "You really want to do this?" The guards froze. One reached for his radio, calling in backup, unsure what to do. This wasn't in the manual. Marcus hadn't moved an inch. His eyes remained forward, but he knew. He knew what that kind of backup meant. Brotherhood, loyalty, respect earned, not given. Jason started to move toward the commotion, but the SEALs already had it in hand. These weren't strangers. They were his instructors, the men who'd shaped him through the brutal trials of Navy training. They knew him. They knew his father. The air was thick now, tense, uncertain. The audience was silent. Every movement, every word felt heavier. The second SEAL, darker and older, crossed his arms. "You've made a mistake," he said. "That man over there taught most of us what it means to stand our ground." The guards looked lost. One opened his mouth, then closed it again. What was the right call now? The chain of command was breaking under the weight of something bigger than policy. Honor. And in the middle of it all stood Marcus, still seated, still silent, but never more powerful. People started to whisper. Recognition blooming. They knew who he was now. A third SEAL stepped forward, his voice calm but cold. "Stand down, or we'll escalate this." That was when footsteps echoed from the far end of the hall. Boots, heavy, determined. The base commander had arrived. To understand what happened next, you need to know who Marcus Carter really was. He didn't come from privilege. He came from dirt roads, long nights, and the kind of hunger that taught you to be tough early. At 17, he signed the papers. By 18, he was in boot camp. And by 19, he was watching friends die in a desert halfway around the world. He served with honor. No scandals, no shortcuts. He earned his stripes the hard way, blood, bone, and will. There were missions he couldn't talk about, medals he never showed, scars he never explained. He'd missed the birth of his son because he was pinned down in Kandahar. He sent letters home, never knowing if they'd arrive. Holidays came and went without him. Birthdays became video messages and brief calls from satellite phones. He'd been injured, twice, carried shrapnel in his leg to this day. But he never complained. He came home and kept serving, and he raised his son with the same quiet pride. Jason wanted to follow his path, not because he had to, but because he saw what honor looked like at the dinner table. So when Marcus showed up at that ceremony, he wasn't just a man in uniform. He was the embodiment of decades of sacrifice, and yet someone looked at his skin before they looked at his stripes. That's what hurt most, but he didn't show it. He never did. Until that moment, the base commander marched down the aisle, his boots hitting the floor like a drumbeat. His jaw was tight, eyes locked on the scene ahead. "Stand down," he barked, voice booming across the silent room. The guards snapped to attention. The SEALs didn't move. They didn't need to. The commander stepped between them, his face hard as steel. He looked at Marcus, really looked, and in that moment, recognition replaced confusion. "Sergeant Carter," he said, voice softer now. "My apologies. This should never have happened." He extended his hand, a gesture of respect, of correction. But Marcus didn't take it. He looked past him, to his son still standing proud in the aisle. He looked at the crowd, at the guards. The silence was deafening, because this wasn't about protocol anymore. This was about dignity, about a man who'd given everything, being told he didn't belong in the one place that should have honored him most. And even though the commander's words were right, they came too late. The damage was already done. Then Jason moved. The young sailor walked toward his father, not toward the commander, not toward the stage, but directly to Marcus. He stood tall, eyes burning, and then, in front of everyone, he raised his hand in a salute to his father, not to rank, not to power, but to character, to sacrifice. The room fell completely silent. Even the wind outside seemed to pause. Marcus's breath caught in his throat. His eyes moistened just a little. The four SEALs straightened their backs. The commander slowly lowered his extended hand, realizing the moment no longer belonged to him. This wasn't a correction of protocol. This was a correction of principle. Jason held the salute, and Marcus, after a long pause, returned it. Two warriors, two generations, one bond. And just like that, everything shifted. The shame, the assumption, the humiliation, they evaporated in that one gesture. When the ceremony resumed, Marcus was seated front and center. No one questioned it. The guards were gone. The SEALs stood like silent sentinels, making sure of it. As Jason's name was called and he stepped up to receive his diploma, heads turned, not toward the stage, but toward the man who'd raised him. And in that moment, everyone knew. This wasn't just Jason's graduation, it was Marcus's too. Sometimes the deepest cuts don't come from enemy fire. They come from being told, subtly or boldly, that you don't belong. Marcus Carter fought wars on foreign soil, but on that day he fought a different kind of battle, one that too many veterans, especially veterans of color, still face today. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't lash out. He stood his ground, with dignity, with pride. And when the moment came, his brothers in arms stood with him, not because they were ordered to, but because loyalty runs deeper than rank. That day, in a room full of uniforms, one truth became clear. Respect isn't given by a title. It's earned through sacrifice and upheld by those who know what it costs. Some battles are fought with bullets, others with silence and strength. And no one messes with a Marine's family, not on their watch. If this story moved you, let it be known. Hit that like button to show your respect. Drop a respect in the comments below. And if you believe in honoring those who serve, not just with medals, but with dignity, then share this story. Let's make sure it's never forgotten.